For the layer styles portion of the homework, you're going to create 6 custom layer styles that are all made by you and save it as a set. So here's how I've set up my file, and I'm going to walk you through how to set up a file for this and then to save your styles. I created a document that was 1600 pixels wide by 1200 pixels tall, 72 dpi and RGB. And then I've changed the background so that it's no longer just a white background, and I would suggest you do that. I think some of the layer effects show up better if there's a color background behind it. Each of these are their own layer. So I have a large area, and then I have a layer that has several small areas including thinnish lines, and then I have some text to try this out on too. So just to show you, you can click on your first one, and once you've got that selected, hold down Shift, click on the last one to select them all. Hold down Command and Option and then click and drag them over to the right. And this way we can make 6 sets of these layers. Alright, let's do that again and just grab the bottom layer here, hold down Shift, click on the top layer, hold down Command and Option, and then click and drag those down. And I'm actually holding Shift as I drag as well because that'll keep them in a straight line. So you don't have to copy them this way, it's my way, and you can copy them any way you need to, but you need to have 6 copies around your canvas so that you can apply different layer styles to them. Remember, at any time you can go to a layer by right-clicking over it and choosing the layer that is listed, or by holding the Command key down and clicking on a layer. Open the Layer Styles box by double-clicking on the right area of the layer in the layer panel. You can adjust all sorts of settings. I would start probably here in this left-hand column, and to add a setting you need to click on not only the checkbox but click on the word to make it blue, and that will bring up all of your options. A hint with making layer styles: anytime you leave all of these settings just how they showed up in Photoshop, it's kind of obvious and they're not very attractive. So a couple things to do pretty much immediately is, one, come down here to the shadow. If there's any sort of a shadow, lower the opacity of that. Simply because shadows, true shadows, are not black. You can actually see detail and color in them. The area here with the circle, this is lighting, and the dot indicates where the light's coming from. So this light is in the upper left hand corner, and it's like it's shining down this way. So the edge that encounters that light first will get a highlight, the opposite edge will get a shadow, and if you add a drop shadow, and I'm going to increase the distance on this one and the size so that I can see it here on my background, you'll notice that the light direction is the same, and when there's a highlight on this side and a shadow on this side, the cast shadow or the drop shadow is also on the same side as the shadow on the object. There are 2 basic types of layer styles. There's ones that when you apply them it doesn't change the color of the layer. It might give it texture or it might give it effects, but it doesn't change the actual color of the layer. For example, here with texture, you've got a pattern drop down, and underneath the little settings gear you'll find a whole bunch of different ones that you can upload to try. And I'm just going to replace the ones I've got. A pattern or a texture will not change the color, but it will give it a really cool texture, and I quite like that one. You can change the scale on these so that it's smaller or bigger. You'll notice as it gets smaller, you can kind of see the repeat on it, so I like to keep mine where I can't see that. These patterns are image based, so if you get too big you start seeing some pixelation. You can change how deep these are cut in. So if you increase the depth, it's like those cracks get deeper. So that would be an example of a layer style that does not change the color of the object. I'm going to click OK and move down here to one of my other squares by command clicking on it and then opening my layer style by clicking to the right of the layer. An example of a layer style that will literally just change everything about that would be one that you apply a color overlay to. So I could come in here and pick a specific color that I wanted it to be. Once there's a color change, you can still change all of those other settings that we were playing with. Let's do on this one an inner glow. Learning what the size and choke and these different things are is just going to come to you as you get used to it. There's all sorts of buttons and fun things, so just play around with them. Most of these that apply a color you can change the color of, but also realize not only is there a color involved, there's also a blend mode, and they're the same blend modes often that are out on the layers, and you can change that as well. So if you have started to get a feel of kind of what the blend modes do, you can go and add those. Once again, I'm going to lower my opacity there. Often when I create layer styles, I'm really going for depth and dimension, so it feels like it's popping out from the image, and that's why I like to put pretty much a drop shadow on everything. If you have a drop shadow size that you particularly like, once you've adjusted your settings, you can check this box down here, or click on the button that says make it the default, and it will stay that way every time you start adding a drop shadow. So, alright, that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit OK for that. Now there's one more type of thing you can really do to your layers, and we've talked about those settings on the left of the layer box. I'm going to get this other one here and show you what these ones in the middle. So when it's on blending options, this applies to the whole object, and you can do things like reduce the actual opacity of the inside of the box, even to where it's gone. But then if you click bevel and emboss, it should show up, and it didn't. Man, this is just my luck. Okay, where did I lie to you? Okay, this general blending is the overall opacity or transparency of the entire layer. What I should have changed was this fill. So I'm going to drag fill all the way down, and now you can see that it's like it's glass. The effects that you add to it can still be seen, but whatever is behind that layer is what will show through, and that's kind of fun. Gradient overlay will go in solid as default, but you can also set this one to something like multiply, which will change the take that color but apply it to the layer behind. You can change opacities and add outlines. A stroke is an outline. With stroke you can change the size. You can also change the position of it to be generated from the inside of that square or the outside or even the center, which is a little bit different. So let's say there's three types of layer styles. There's ones that don't affect the color of the original layer, there's ones that completely change the color of the original layer, and then there's one that make the layer see-through so you can see it, see whatever's behind it. Alrighty, I'm going to call that good. So I would go through here and change each of these big boxes to a style that I really liked, and then you want to apply that same style to the other parts of this group. So I'm going to command click to get this layer, and to copy that layer style you right click on the layer, choose copy layer style, and then command click on whatever layer you want to add it to, and in your layers panel right click again on that new layer and click paste layer style. You can actually do this to a couple at a time. You don't have to go back and copy and paste. Once you've copied it, you can paste it to any number of things. So for example, if I come to my orange one here, right click and copy that layer style, and then I'm going to grab this layer by command clicking on it and add this layer by command shift clicking on it. So now I've got two layers selected over here. And remember, you can come over and get these selected any way you want, but this is the way I'm doing it. And then right click and choose paste layer style, and it will apply it to both of them. You'll notice in my layers panel I'm getting a lot of these big layers that have many effects listed underneath them. I can command click to grab as many of those as I want, and then if you just click the little drop, I guess it would be I am blanking on that word right now, to minimize the minimize button over here on the right side, then that'll hide those effects, and you can have a little bit more of a compressed view of your layers panel. So you want to do that to all of these and get 6 layer styles that you really like and you really are fond of. The next thing, or the last thing you need to do, is add these layer styles to your styles palette and then save it off as a set. So the way you would do that is go to the layer with the layer style. I'm going to do that by grabbing my move tool and hitting command and clicking. And then all you have to do is have your styles panel open and click out here in the empty area. I would suggest giving these a descriptive name, so I'm just going to call this Rocky Surface. And I don't need to do that for all these other layers that are in this group, because that's the same layer style on each one of those. So you'll copy up the layer style from each one. So I'm going to come to this orange layer and dump out here, so orange fill. You'll notice I've got these neat little preview boxes up there so I can see what that looks like. This one, I hadn't copied it to my others, but I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like. So I'm going to copy that layer style, command click on the top, command shift click on the bottom, and then right click and paste layer styles. So that looks alright. Looks like you can't have 2 layers selected and try and add that style, so just be on one layer to add that style. You're going to do that for all 6 of these, and then save this Photoshop file, and what you're going to hand in is a JPEG of your Photoshop file and a style set from all 6 of your styles. To create that style set file, once you have all 6 of them up here, go to the drop down menu at the top right hand side of the styles panel and choose preset manager, and then you need to click on one, hold down command and click on the others that you want to add to your set and say save set, and use the name that's given in the instructions for the assignment if you're doing this for my class, and click save. That will create a set that you can load on any computer or email to your friends or upload to a website. So many fun things that you can do with layer styles. I hope you enjoy this assignment, and just shoot me an email if you have any questions.